The Longevity Lounge is proudly brought to you by AIA Australia, dedicated to helping Australians live healthier, longer, better lives. Today, we welcome Tony Bonner to the lounge, a true Australian legend. From his iconic role as Flight Ranger Jerry King in Skippy the Bush Kangaroo, to starring in The Man from Snowy River and Quigley Down Under, Tony has spent over 6 decades in the spotlight. But beyond the screen, at 81 years young, he's still thriving, proving that longevity isn't just about health, but about purpose, passion, and resilience. In this episode, Tony shares the secrets to staying sharp, active, and engaged with life, reflecting on his career, personal growth, and the lessons that have shaped him. From reinvention after setbacks to the mindset that fuels longevity, this conversation is one you won't want to miss. Tune in for an inspiring chat with an Aussie icon.
So, Tony, welcome to the lounge.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Well, welcome. And
Leachy, always good to see you, mate.
Good to see you.
One of the classics, the icons of...
Manly icons. I don't know if many people would actually know that you're Manly local like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah, well, I was born in Fairlight House when my grandfather was mayor of Manly. In that house. There's Bonner Avenue up in Queenscliff.
Yes.
That's after my little gang. I think the first grandstand at the Manly Oval there was paid for by my grandfather.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I kind of bleed blue for the club down there.
Yeah, it's been, I was actually, and Carl and myself were born in Melbourne.
Yeah.
So we actually came up.
All the great, as you know better than I, Leachy, all the great Iron Men came from Melbourne, Queensland, South Australia.
Yep.
Andrews, Kai, I think was South Australia.
Dwayne Thies.
Dwayne.
Yeah, as well.
Yeah, you got to kind of struggle to think of the actual Sydney-born Ironman champion.
Yeah, well, you're as manly as can be. So
yeah.
And also, your stint at Manly Circle has been a long journey for you.
It has been, yeah.
When did that start?
I was there back in the 60s. Then I was overseas for a long time with my work. And then when I came back, I was lived in Melbourne for about 20 years did a lot of film and theatre in Melbourne, the Anzacs, all the shows for Crawford's Homicide.
Yeah, you even Cop Shop. Cop Shop, you on?
I
remember seeing you on
Shop.
that.
Yeah, I started that. So it's been a bit of in a sense like you and like most of sports people, I'm a bit of a gypsy. You know, where the work is, I've lived and gone to. So I've been back at the club at Manly, I suppose, for the last 30 years. I've been president 3 times there, on the board there, a life member there now, which I'm honoured about. So, yeah, you're, other than your birthplace, you're kind of Manly as well, mate.
I feel like it, yeah.
Tony, I came to Sydney in 96, and you were one of the first recognisable faces that I saw because I was living in Ashburn Street just next to the club.
Great, yeah, just up from the club.
And I couldn't believe it. I mean, Leachy I hadn't heard of, obviously, but with you, you were someone that we grew up with. Anyone over the age of 45 knew you from stepping out of a chopper and Skippy and a variety of other things.
Great Bell Ranger.
Yeah. But I'm interested in terms of longevity and your long esteemed acting career.
Yeah.
You know, the way that you stayed fit, stayed mentally present.
Yeah.
You're an incredible aspiration for a lot of people because you look pretty much like you did then when I first moved up now. What do you attribute that to?
Without being flippant, I have absolutely no idea. I've never had a gym routine. I've never worked out in a gym. I walk through a gym every day at the Manly Lifesaving Club. I'll pick up a dumbbell and I think I should do 50 curls or something. I think, oh no, I haven't got time for that.
Yeah.
It's a time thing with me. I've just stayed fit, I think, out of survival. I was born with the knowledge that I needed to be flexible. I needed to be flexible physically and mentally. And I've just found aspects of my life to keep me in those states without being locked into a program. I can absolutely understand people that join gyms and the 45s and all those kind of gym outlets. And I applaud that, but it's not for me. I'm not a mass workout person. I enjoy it myself. My major thing that I've done all my life is soft sand running. I've either run, walked, or jogged. It all depends my physical condition, because I lost this lung to pneumonia many years ago. So that slowed any kind of running or jogging down. Now I walk for like 200 or 300 meters in the soft sand. Then my rhythm, my breathing will be good, so I'll jog. And I may get up to North Stain on the jog, and then I'll start to be short to get on breath. So I'll walk, then halfway, then to Queensy, feel good, go on up to Queensy, have an argument with the boys at Queensy about who's the best club out of Queensy or Manly.
Just the usual.
The usual. And then I'll do the same on the way back to Manly, which is about, 2 Ks up to the Queensy and back.
It's a mile up, maybe a couple of Ks for sure.
So that's all I've done. I've soft sanded, then I'll go, and if I'm feeling really good, but before I had that lung operation, I'd go down to the hard sand and I'd sprint for 100 metres. I'd hammer a sprint on the soft sand in the hard sand. Then I'd walk back up to the soft sand and go back into that soft sand rhythm. I think better when I exercise, For people, and I know I'm old school, but to see people running now with earphones on or earbuds in, I think, how can you not listen to that ocean and listen to the gulls and listen? Why do you want to have some crap blasting in your ears when you've got all this around you? I mean, so that's primarily what I do.
Sounds like you like exercising with nature.
Yeah.
Like outdoors.
Absolutely.
You'd rather be outside in the mix than be in four walls doing something.
And I think a bit of that guy is claustrophobia. I've got really bad claustrophobia. I suffered badly from asthma as a boy. I'd much rather get in a fight with 6 people in a back lane than a couple of people hold me and block my nose.
Yeah, right.
I'm a stair walker. If I get to a building and the lift and I think I'm going to second, I'll walk the stairs.
Yeah.
You know, for me to get trapped in an elevator or a lift, I'd go crazy.
So you're, I think, 82 now?
Yeah.
82. And so for the listeners, 82 is a pretty good number. So a statistic...
Well, for someone, Guy, that didn't think I'd get past 25 or 30, the way I used to live.
You would have had some good stories from the past. Just
a lot of good and a lot lot and a lot of silly and a lot of stupid and a lot of...
Some fun ones, though, with the movie sets and just people you hung out with.
Yeah. Yes, it's hard.
Different lifestyle to now, right?
Totally different. Yeah. And I have to say, the first part of my life was driven with an addictiveness to alcohol. Thank God I'm that old that Coke or heroin went around as much as they are now. It was just good old...
Well, in Manly in the 70s, it was big. Heroin was big.
It was big, man.
Yeah.
So I didn't get on any of that trail. The monkey on my back was alcohol.
Yeah, right.
So 36 years ago this year, I put the cork back in the bottle, threw the darts away, went into a rehab in Melbourne. I just come back from filming in America, and I thought, I'm going to do something about my life or I'm not going to see my daughters grow up. I was bad, man. I rode motorcycles and I used to turn the lights off of a night, roaring down a freeway and just run as far as I could. I wasn't kind of traveling emotionally well. I was driven. I knew I had to. My daughters, and they know it now. They didn't know it then. We girls, like kind of 8 or 6 and 4. And I just had some kind of realization that I wasn't going to see these humans grow up unless I changed the manner in which I lived. Because I was a daily survivalist guy. I mean, if someone wasn't going to stick a knife in me in a pub somewhere from something that stupid I said. So when I was on the drink, I was worse.
Yeah, right.
I never took a backward step. So that led to losing a lot of teeth, losing a lot of stuff in my life. But what I lost was me. And it wasn't until I put the juice down, the alcohol down, and threw the cigarettes away, the darts out, and came to a realization that my childhood problems that I had were not me. They weren't caused by me, and not that they were caused by anyone other than just the situation back then, that I had to do something about that. And I came out of that rehab 36 years ago, haven't picked up a drink since then, haven't picked up a dart since then. My higher power, I'm still here because it's a miracle to me that I am.
No, I think it's great too. Tony, one of the things, we talk a lot about physical health, and we've touched on that today. Whenever I've seen you in Manly and the Northern Beaches, you're always on a mission. You know, I imagine taking on and embracing characters through your acting career is an enormous mental task and, you know, incredibly a professional aspect of that. How much do you think that has helped in terms of your longevity? You know, you're very sharp, incredibly interesting and interested. From all of our research, that's one of the key things for longevity and wanting to be here in the long term.
Yep. No, I would agree with that. I've never walked. I've walked with a purpose. I haven't gone for a walk to go for a walk, which I know sounds silly, but I've gone for a walk because I wanted to go for that walk. It wasn't programmed into my head. Look at my little exercise book. I've got to do 50 of this. I've got to do 100 of that. I can't do that. But I average, I suppose not much, I average about 10 or 15,000 paces a day. I know that because my little iPhone tells me. And strangely, if I don't walk that much, I feel that I haven't done the right thing for myself. I'd much rather walk than ride or drive, or if it's possible, obviously, without being silly. Yeah, I need a purpose. You know, I said something to someone the other day that they found kind of difficult to believe until I explained it, that I've never had a holiday. You know, I've been to every country in the world. I've worked in most of them, but I've gone for the work. I've gone for the exploration of my mind, my work ethic, my creativity, I hope. I haven't gone to take my favourite book and lie on a beach.
No.
I can't think of anything worse than that. So, yeah, I get up of a morning and I have a purpose. You know, I don't kind of get out of bed. I get out of bed. You know, and
you would. I would think that, and I listen to you and think I'm exactly the same, right? So, going on a holiday is going to work because you love what you do, right?
Absolutely.
So it's not really called work in definition. You just go and do the thing you love and make money doing it.
You bet.
And if it takes you around the world, it takes you around the world, right?
You bet.
Yeah.
No,
that's the game, right?
I'd love to be. I've envied people like yourself that I grew up with. Well, I'm a bit older, but and the guy Andrews, who was my son-in-law, as you know, and Trevor Hendy, and all those great art to me, Rideau, the great Iron Men to me of the 70s, 80s, that were Iron Men to me. They didn't have their little transitions, and they didn't have they did the runs, the swims, the board, the ski. They battled. I used to love the battles with Rideau and Guy Andrews. I mean, some of those battles were classic.
So you like the struggle. You like the whole idea of getting in the fight and pushing and having to work hard to get something.
Well, I've had an old kind of saying in my head, it's never the dog in the fight, it's the fight in the dog.
Yeah.
You know, that's always kind of been my silly but simple mantra. That, you know, if you get knocked out and you get straight back up on your feet, immediately either your opposition or are going to say, holy crap, next time we knock him down, we better knock him down.
But that's your fight with life on this earth too, right?
You bet.
At 82, people would be listening going, mate, he sounds sharp and he sounds like he's still got enough in him to cop one in the head and give one back. You know,
bet.
Like you're still there. You haven't lost.
I mean, I'm still coming off horses. I'm still dropping motorcycles.
You haven't lost that, right?
No.
You haven't gone. I'm
old. Broken anything? No.
I'm old, and I'm not going to. I'm going to take it easy.
Yeah. No. I'll give up when I
stop breathing.
When I stop breathing.
You know what's funny with this, right? Is you go to a country like a third world country where 80-year-olds are in the field working.
Yeah.
Because that's what they do, right?
Yeah.
And they're still sharp and
you bet.
Can move around and duck and weave. And I mean, that's the answer, right?
Yeah.
It's just you got to keep going.
Well,
keep doing your thing.
Yeah. If you don't have some sort of energy or drive or passion or goal, what do you get out of bed for?
So that's a really good transition, actually. So for you moving forward into the future, the skill set of being an actor, remember, if you asked Leachy, so for instance, to memorise 3 lines, he's probably not going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
You've got the skill set to be able to memorise thousands of lines and deliver those in a particular character that may or may not resemble you. So that's a lot in terms of a legacy. Is there acting in your future? Are you have you made a decision not to do that?
No. I'll just keep going until I can't leave the dressing room. And then hopefully I've shot enough of that picture or play or haven't done enough that the director can't say, holy crap, he's gone. Well, their only emotion will be, how do we recast this? How do we edit round that he's not going to be walking out of the door in the next scene? No, I'll just keep going until I can't.
Because you love it, right?
I do.
Yeah.
I mean,
still
I
like it was 30 years ago for you, 40 years?
Well, more so.
Really?
Because the more I know, the more I know. And the older I get, not the more courageous I get, but the more honest I get. So back when I played a character 40 or 50 years ago, I had other things buzzing around in my head. I've got to be good for this reason, or I've got to do this bullshit, or I've got to do this.
Bit of ego.
All the ego, the false pride, all that stuff. I haven't had that really since I stopped drinking. All that bullshit was at the bottom of a glass.
We talk about physicality and the fact that you can still jog and walk the soft sand at Manly. But more impressive is the fact that mentally you're sharp as a whip, right? And it's got to come down to, and they talk about in sort of longevity and staving off Alzheimer's and dementia, is to use your mind and your brain like a muscle, right?
You bet.
And because of your work and what you do, you've been doing that right through.
Yeah, but it helps, Leachy, and I'm sure it does with you as well, because I've advised a couple of people to talk to you over the years in regard to swimming and to jogging, boards, skis. I stay young, I think, because I teach still actors that are in their 20s, 30s. So I have an understanding of that as well, because I need to have an understanding of that. Because when I grew up at 20 and 30, we were different young men then to what the young men are today. So I have to have a knowledge about what young people think and what drives them and what's their fears and what's their goals and aspirations, and are they aware of AI, and are they aware that when they look at a photograph in a magazine, not to say, I want to look like that, because that person's not real. So that's what I feel sad about young people today. They're not in touch, a lot of them, with reality, because there's not a lot of reality around them. They watch films and play games that are totally structured from AI. Nothing about that is real.
Yeah.
Girls look at cover of magazines and say, why can't I look like that? Yeah. Because it's not real.
Because you can't.
Because you can't.
Yeah.
So that's one of the first things I need to do when I'm working with a young actor, is get them to become real.
Yeah. You also you've put a lot of time into Manly Surf Club. Hours and hours of your time for free.
Yep.
That legacy piece and just that giving back is obviously a really important part of what you do.
Absolutely. You bet. I've been involved with a lot of charities in my life and still are. Mainly the Variety Club, which is a show business club where we help underprivileged and handicapped kids, and have for, I think, 50, 60 years ago, the Variety Club started. I joined it in London when I was working there as an actor, and I've been with it for, I would say, close to 50 years, the Variety Club. And it's a wonderful charity to be able to pay for an operation for a family that just can't afford it. It's really a joy. And I've been blessed. I've got 3 healthy daughters. I've got 6 grandchildren, and I've just had the first great-granddaughter.
Oh, really?
And I still look at my life and think, and remember my crazed 20s and 30s, and think, who was looking after me back then? Because I wasn't. I didn't allow anyone else to look after me. So I've got to believe in a spirit force. I've got to believe in a higher power, because nothing was driven by me. And the people that wanted to help me, I drove away. Out of fear, out of not knowing how to get in touch with reality, with my own feelings, being scared of being hurt, being scared primarily.
Yeah, right.
And it took me putting the drink down to get away from that.
Yeah.
Tony, you've talked about being present on the beach and listening to the ocean, unless, of course, they're listening to this podcast in their ears while they're walking on the beach. You've talked about the spirit force and things broader than just the everyday concerns.
Yep.
Do you have meditation and mindfulness is really moving progressively through schools and into the workforce and life, which from my perspective is a really good thing. Do you have a particular practice? Have you spent much time investigating that for yourself? You landed
I can remember when I was about 16 or 18, somewhere in that period, I was scared of life. Because I didn't have a belief in Western religion. I couldn't believe that the established Western God that was, to me, predicated on fear. If you don't do this, we're going to burn the hell out of you. If you don't do this, everything was about, holy shit, man,
really
this is scary.
Yeah.
Yet the Eastern philosophies and religious beliefs and spiritualities was about love and about connection and about development. And I always thought, why aren't we all like that? Because it's not predicated on anger or war. So I wrote off in San Francisco to the self-development relationship in an organization in San Francisco and kind of just said, I'm an 18-year-old young actor just starting. I'm kind of lost. I can't remember exactly what I said. I would like to have a belief in something, and I can't believe in anything. Because I see kids dying, I see kids and I think, what God would let that happen? I just couldn't, and I know it can be justified by a good, Catholic or Protestant Christian, and I suppose my basic religious beliefs would be of Christianity, but it was still not enough for me. I needed to look for that Zen, that aspect where I had to understand me before I could understand something else.
Did they come back to you?
Yeah. They wrote back.
Yeah, right.
I still have the old, those blue airmail things you used to buy that you could write in and roll and just lick and set it off.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I've still got it amongst boxes.
And did that help when they came back to you?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It was about the Self-Realizations Fellowship, it was called. It was about realising and finding yourself.
Yeah.
You
would have been ahead of your time at 16, 18 years of age to go and do that.
Well,
it's pretty
kind of,
unique, right?
I didn't talk to a lot of people about it. I didn't talk to anyone about it. And this is what I say to a lot of my students or younger students today, is you need to find a mentor in life. You need to, I don't care if it's that rock. If you can talk and believe and get something from that rock, but I say you need to have someone that you can ask a question of and accept an answer.
Yeah, right.
So...
Did you search that group out once you got the message back, or that was enough for you? At
that
the
was
time?
enough. That there was more that there was more than just Western religious beliefs.
Yeah,
and that was enough for me. Then I got involved with the spirituality. It's not God. It's a spirituality in AA. It's about finding your higher power. God is not mentioned in the 12 steps of recovery in AA. A higher power is mentioned. Okay. I don't care if you believe in the sun, like the great Aztecs believed in Ra, the sun god. That was their god. And it's a pretty good god, because if we didn't have the sun, nothing grows.
Very true.
It's pretty simple to find a god. And that kind of made sense to me, that all we all needed to do was to find a belief.
You go back to when you start talking about your kids. I knew Sky years ago.
Yeah, I know. You're great mates.
Yeah. It seems like that was the moment when that just destroying yourself with that realization that you want to be around longer. Yeah. And it probably saved you, right?
Yeah. Well, exactly. Yeah. My daughter, Sky, that Leachy knows, married Guy Andrews, and they were together for a long time. And I had my first granddaughter, which is Madison, who's just given birth, and now I have a great granddaughter from Madison, which I'm just blessed and pleased about. But I can remember Sky was a bit like me. I taught her how to ride motorcycles, I taught her how to shoot, and I taught her how to use a slingshot and shake. She was kind of the son I didn't
the son
have.
you never had.
Yeah, but she was great. I remember one fight, and I can't remember, Guy, if you were there. You probably were, mate. There was an Ironman function up on the Gold Coast, and they were all taken up to the top of the Meriton Hotel to jump off, to abseil off.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
And everyone was up there putting all these guys, young, fit, 22.
Shitting ourselves.
And Sky went off. Sky put the belt on.
remember that. I do.
And she went off the building, and all these guys, I know Guy Andrews looked at me and said, "Oh, man, she's gone. We've got to go now."
Yeah, we went down the building, but weren't happy
I
about
remember.
It was a promo.
It was.
Too good.
So I've known all these guys a long time, you know.
So Tony, when we look at longevity and the studies, and there's all these gurus now, you know, Attia and Huberman and a variety of people that have, you know, valid scientific research into what keeps you around longer. Nutrition and food is one of those. Have you got particular practices that have served you well?
Yeah, I suppose. I'm not a great advocate of junk food, I have to be honest. And not because it doesn't taste great, not me with no structural knowledge of food, the goodness of food. I know that biting into that fast food, it's been created in a factory or in a chemical.
It's not real, right?
It's not real.
Not real. And you feel like shit anyway, don't
Well,
you? I never feel good after eating that stuff.
I mean, I must admit, if I feel hungry, I'm happy getting a hunk of cheese, getting an apple, and just eat. I like cheese and apple together.
Have you done that for a long time?
Yeah.
When did that start? How long ago?
And even when I was a practicing alcoholic,
Really?
I wasn't let's stop at 2 a.m. and get a
meat
shit
pie or a
burger
kebab or something.
Kebab, yeah.
No, you weren't that person. Yeah,
No.
well, that probably saved you, right? Just
I think
another
it
thing that is bad that you
Yeah.
didn't do.
I think the good Lord was saying to me inside, Tone, I've given you a rough deal with the alcohol. I'm not going to double it up with crap food. So, yeah, no, I've always eaten as fresh and as healthy as I could.
I talk, whole foods. I talk, eating from the earth.
Yeah, but
human beings haven't
I'm not
touched it as much.
maniacal about it.
That doesn't sound like you are with anything. You're quite organic with everything you do.
Yeah.
But you tend to do a lot right,
And I
even though you haven't
know.
studied it. You just sort of get it.
I haven't studied it, but I kind of know. I'll be up in the morning doing whatever, and I'll immediately put where I keep my garlic out because I know I need garlic today.
Yeah, okay.
For what reason, I have no idea, but I'll just peel the garlic and I'll just eat a raw garlic with some cheese. I love that.
Yeah. Carl's
I love
touch.
opening a can of good beetroot and just eating a can of beetroot, like the good stuff.
Carlos has touched on food and nutrition. Two of the other ones that we know are super important are sleep and recovery.
Yes.
You've got to get your rest,
Yes.
particularly when you get older. And the other one is that preventative health, like having a good doctor, getting checked up, beating things before they get too bad. How have you gone with those two things?
Pretty good, I think. Not a great sleeper and never have been.
Mind too active or?
Yeah, hyperactive. And I think that was also a little part of the alcoholic drinking. If I could just wipe myself out, I could sleep. I don't pop any pills to sleep.
So you go to bed at a certain time now? Like you've got a routine?
It's usually around 11.
Yeah. And you'll sleep till 7?
No,
you're up
I'll
early.
sleep till 2.
Yeah, right.
Then I'll be up. I have some water. Then I'll go back to bed. I'll be up at 4. Then I'll go back to bed. I'll be up at 6:30, and I'm out.
And when you get up, can you go back to sleep pretty quickly?
No,
right. So you lay there for a while.
That's about the only thing I really envy any person. And I've had a couple of mates of mine that could sit here and drift off.
Yeah, right.
Go to sleep.
Or go to bed and literally wake up once to go to the toilet all night.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you like?
Well, I've drifted off twice just listening to you, Leachy, on this podcast. Other than that, I'm very good at it.
Yeah, you can sleep well.
9:30 till 5.
Wow.
No
It's
worries.
torture when you can't sleep, though.
Man, I'd love that.
I think the beds actually have helped a lot.
Yep.
Now, we went to some bed sale recently and the Tempur mattresses were half price, which was still like
Super expensive.
you buy a car almost, but it's worth it. Like I
Not the ones with the temperature change.
No,
those
not
ones,
that, no. But you hit that bed with the memory foam, and it's the best investment you've probably ever made.
Because you're in bed, so every day. I mean, it's a big chunk of your life, right?
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
I even thought years ago when they were promoting those copper mattress, you could buy not a whole mattress, but like a mattress cover that had little magnets in them and things. I could see the sense in that. I wear this purely to pull the acid out of all the joints from where I've broken and fallen.
So sleep's not good. What about you would have had some health scares over the years?
Oh, yeah.
Have you got a doctor or some sort of you got people there set up so that
No.
No,
I've just got a GP that I have faith in. He just chopped it. I've got a couple of stitches there at the moment. Chopped a sun thing out, which I've had a few of those chopped out over the years. Because I've still rode a motorcycle, so I've been in the sun and the elements and sailed a lot.
Down the surf club?
So I've been out in Mr. Sun all my life, just about. I don't have a doctor. Well, the doctor I have now, the GP I have great faith in because I am brutally and openly honest with anything going on with me. And he has a great kind of calmness and understanding about stuff and will direct me in the right way. I'm not surrounded by a support team.
You haven't got a team, yeah.
No.
That's the future, right, isn't it? It's sort of going that way.
Yeah, I think that we're trying to make that more affordable.
Yeah, I think it's wise.
It helps, doesn't it?
Yeah,
if you know what's going on,
yeah.
can
but
beat
I think
it early.
Gets back to that one person like you may be or Guy may be, a mentor that a person comes to you to say, this is how I'm thinking, feeling, acting, reacting, why? And you will say whatever you need to say, I think you should go and talk to this person.
Fair to say that being an actor and understanding yourself and delving into other characters, that you've got a good understanding of yourself.
Oh, you bet.
And just your own body, and you could sort of self-screen anyway.
You bet.
Going, you know what, I'm feeling a bit funny in this position here. Maybe that's worth going to the doctor. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I don't put things off. Like if I find something, I just mentioned that to Anura the last time I was in to get a prescription renewed, and I said, "Oh, Anura, have a look at that for me, will you, mate? Get your little glass thing out." And he said, "Oh, I think I better chop that out, Tone." I said, "Well, fucking chop it out.
Just chop it out, baby. Chop it out.
Chop it out. Whatever you need to take, just fucking take it.
Fuck it off."
Yeah.
Tony, we do talk about the social aspect and how important that is in living a long and healthy life.
You bet.
Leachy obviously has got very few friends. You're one of them, so thanks so much for joining us today.
No, I understand that. I have very few friends.
No, me too. How does it becomes more difficult as we age? That's a fact.
Yeah.
It's really difficult to keep that network. Facebook and Instagram and things have supposedly helped in some respect. But have you found that you've had a core five that you could lean on at any given time?
Bet.
Right.
I'm seeing one when I leave here, John Waddy. John was one of the top fashion photographers in Sydney. He probably took your shot many times.
I know his name.
Johnny.
He has taken shots.
Yeah, we've been mates for 60 years, over 60 years. And I'm seeing him when I leave you guys.
Solo.
To have a cup of coffee at Narrabeen.
Nice.
And John Robinson from the old J.C. Williamson's theatres days. I started with when John was a stage manager. I was a young actor on stage. We've been pals for over 60 years. He was the best man at my wedding, and I still see John every week or two. We always sit down at the Tropicana, a coffee shop up at the Cross where we meet.
On the Cross, yeah.
And have a coffee and talk about the old days or talk about the new days. Adrian over in Perth, I've known for 60 years.
So you've kept that going.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Surf Club, Manly Surf Club, is always a great
It's like
boiling
my
pot.
family, but it's the kind of family I never had. Theatre's been my family. I'm as happy in the dressing room of a theatre. I'm at home. I'm completely happy sitting in an empty theatre, just sitting in the stalls, just looking at it. I love being in a dressing room, a theatre, a studio. It's home for me.
Yeah.
And so it's a
Because
life-saving
you've done it
club.
forever, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it has, and I suppose I was about to say something, so I'll say it. It's never hurt me.
No, it's like me and the surf. Like you just feel like it's home,
Yeah.
right? Because it's just what you do.
Yeah. Exactly.
Comfortability.
And it's funny, as soon as you mentioned surf then, why a crazy mate of yours and mine, Ty's,
Dwayne. Yeah.
Dwayne, I've seen him in some big surf.
Oh, yeah. He's nuts.
Yeah, it's
Crackers,
nuts.
yeah. There's a few of the boys that just love that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me, before we wrap up, we've been going for a while, I'd love to hear, like, my first recollection of you was obviously Skippy, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just, every time
it's
you've done
still on, man, 5 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, God, I mean, it's amazing, right? And so, just give us a story around that, or tell the listeners how long it went for.
Yeah.
Just a few bits and pieces, because it's so iconic, right?
The first film I ever did was another classic, I hope, and if you haven't seen it, please see it, just purely for Sydney at this period. It was called They're a Weird Mob.
Haven't seen it. Yeah.
Try and get it.
Yeah.
It's a classic Australian film of an Italian Nina Carlotta, that comes to Australia as a immigrant, and gets a job on a building site in Mossman, and they're building a home. The Opera House is not finished yet.
So this is like in the 60s?
60s, 1964.
Yeah. Wow.
I shot this. It was my first film.
I was born.
The producers... Thank you for that, guy. The producers of that film were the two become the producers of Skippy.
Yeah, right.
So
was your first sort of bigger break?
They're a Weird Mob was the first big thing I did.
Okay.
I did a couple of little bits for the ABC television in Sydney, like young roles, obviously, and some early roles on stage with J.C. Williams. My father was a big actor, well-known actor for J.C. Williams.
Your whole family, like your mum too, right?
She was a pianist, very good and talented, They're a Weird Mob was probably the first big thing I did. It was the first feature film I was ever in, with a lot of big Sydney Australian stars at the time. And this guy, Nina Carlotta, Walter Chiari, came from Italy to do this. He was a big star in Italy, Walter. Terrific fella. I did that film. Then I went to the music hall used to run in Neutral Bay. There was a fabulous music hall. Had dinner and watched a show on stage. I did I did 2 of those shows. And so after I finished They're a Weird Mob, I went back to the theatre and I was in the music hall in Neutral Bay. I received a phone call from John McCallum, who then was the boss at Forder Productions. They just started, saying we're going to do a television series. It's about a family, a helicopter ranger, park, yada, yada, yada. We'd like you to play the helicopter ranger. And I said, wow, okay, great.
Stable job?
Yeah,
for a while.
It was. And I said, what's it being shot on, tape, video, or film? And they said, no, we're shooting it on colour film, 16mm colour film, which was even a bigger thing for me to go to, because every day then, for the next nearly 2 years, I worked shooting on film with film cameras, watching the dailies, the rushes, kind of learning my craft. How to work to a camera lens and
that was your training.
What to say and what not to say and what to do and how to feel things and all that. Yeah, it was invaluable. And that show, when I did Skippy for about 2 years, I then finished with them in not the best terms, because they'd agreed to give me a pay rise if things were going well. That didn't eventuate. I said, well, if that's the game you're going to play, fellas, bye-bye. They didn't think I'd leave because the show was so successful, but I left. And I took a punt, got on a plane, flew to London, and started my career in England. And
how many eps were Skippy
I did.
running?
I think I did about 40.
Okay. And the total amount, do you know?
Probably 70, something like that.
Yeah, right.
It went for when I left. They then put an actor to come in. They got rid of this character.
They kill you off?
Well, I don't know exactly how Jerry disappeared,
right.
But he disappeared. But when they needed the helicopter to be in an episode for production value, because it looked so good and you could get great aerials from the chopper of Sydney and how fabulous it looked, they had Harold Hopkins, who was an actor, a pal of mine, was offered the role of this kind of stand-in ranger guy. So that went for a couple of years after I left. And they didn't tell the audience that I'd gone.
That's odd, isn't it?
Well,
maybe they thought you'd come back.
Well, I think so.
Yeah, right.
But what Skippy did for me in England, because it was such a huge success in England, it got me straight into the Actors Union, because I was on television there all the time in that show. So I went straight into the union. I was immediately cast in a film. We went to Turkey with Tony Curtis and Charles Bronson.
Wow.
Did a big film in Turkey together. I came back to London. I did The Persuaders, a big television series with Roger Moore and Tony
before
Curtis.
He had James Bond.
Correct, correct. Then I went to Malta and did a film. Then I came back to Australia and did The Money Movers. I think The Money Movers, big film we shot in Adelaide on an armoured car robbery that was based on a true story of an armoured car that was robbed from £6 million, which was a lot of money back then. But anyway, it was a good film, very good film. Yeah. Bruce Beresford directed that one. So anyway.
I'd just like, before we close up, is there any little tip or mantra you'd like to talk about or present as being something that you sort of live your life by, or something that these days is very powerful for you? Because sitting here at 82, you're in great nick for 82.
Yeah.
Mate, you're going strong, and it'd be interesting just to know if there's something there that stands out for you.
I have to say, Guy, out of everything, if I could change, and I don't live in regrets. I mean, what happened yesterday, the day before, 10 years, 50 years ago, it's done and dusted. If I could, it would be to have a mentor that I trusted.
Yeah.
You
would have grabbed hold straight away if you could have.
I lived and still do today because the scars are too much with me. I've lived too much by myself, although I've been married and have great kids and all that. I wish I wasn't the loner that I am.
Okay, very nice.
I like the connection with people, and that's all I try and have with my students now. I try and get them to be honest with me, as I will be to them, because I need them to understand the follies and the foolish things I did.
Yeah.
I don't want anyone in my life, I don't want them to go through the crap I did.
Well, mate, it's been a great chat. You've done plenty right, 'cause you're sitting here right now.
Yeah.
In good nick. So, mate, well done. Congratulations on everything. I'll look forward to seeing all the things you're going to do in the future.
And what I haven't done in my life, Guy, I did a centerfold. That's right, I did do a nude centerfold. But I was going to say, have you ever seen Guy's big
we've all seen it. Yeah, because he shows us.
Nothing else?
Yeah, no,
I've only seen it because he keeps posting it online.
It's part of the whole journey of my friendship with everyone.
It's funny, isn't it? It's funny.
Mate, great having you.
Oh, it was. It's great.
Yeah, thanks, Tony.
But thanks,
Tony.
Thank you, fellas.
Good on you, mate.